Hello, I'm Seth Harrison, and I am a certified strength and conditioning specialist here at the Center for Manual Medicine and Regenerative Orthopedics. And today we're going to try to figure out how to buy the right pair of shoes. This is a question that I get every day, and there's so much confusion when it comes to buying a good pair of athletic shoes. One of the biggest issues is we all tend to buy shoes based on how they look. And I know that's a very important factor, but a number of times the looks also differentiate different levels of stability in a shoe, where some shoes may have very little support by a specific manufacturer. Another pair of shoes by that same manufacturer could have excellent support. So what we want to do is try to figure out, how do I go and pick out the right pair of shoes? When we look at shoes, there's a lot of different styles right now. And I'm not picking on any particular brand, but what I look at is, what is the shoe made of? And in this particular shoe, it's all foam. So if you take a shoe like this and you do what I call the flex test, you bend it at the front. Now, this foam shoe I can bend and I can roll all the way up. So that puts a lot of added stress on the arch. So that's the first test that I like to do when I pick up a pair of shoes. I would like that pair of shoes to flex primarily right at the front of the foot, where your foot would naturally flex when it walks. But with this, it puts a lot of the strain back into the arch. So maybe you've heard of plantar fasciitis. That would not be good for that. The next test is a twist test, and we look at how much torsional stability the shoe has. If you look at this again, it has a lot of flex. So when your foot steps down, it will flex quite a bit as you go through that motion. So again, not a very stable shoe. And last but not least, what I like to look at is what kind of support the shoe has. And you can look inside the shoe and see if it has any arch support, but oftentimes that's not a very good gauge. So I actually like to pull the insole out. When you do that, you can see the bottom of the shoe, and this shoe, like so many that I check, has zero support in there. That's where we start to look at orthotics. Now, if we go through this, let's say this is the most unstable flexible shoe. Let's work through this line of shoes to the most stable shoe. This shoe is a very stable running shoe. And so if you see, it's a completely different design, not that it has to have these holes or anything like that in it. It is more rigid plastic. You grab this shoe and go to flex it, and that is all that shoe will flex. So it only flexes at the front. Much better in terms of stability. From there, let's try the twist test. And you can see, this shoe does not want to twist in the same manner. It keeps your foot very stable while you're walking, running, or doing some of those side-to-side activities. And last but not least, let's look at the arch support in this shoe. Now looking at it, it looks like it has some more arch support, but when I pull that insole out, you can see these insoles are very thin, and underneath there, it is flat as a board. So we need to determine what kind of orthotic do we want to put in these shoes. Now I brought some other examples because these two pairs are right in the middle of this pair and this pair. So it has a little bit of flex, but it doesn't flex all the way back. It has a little bit of torsional stability, but not quite as stable as this shoe. So depending on your foot, this may be fine for you. But if you do have any foot issues, you're going to do better with the more stable shoe. So what happens if you've got a pair of shoes and they're more like these? They're real flexy. Well, that's where a good pair of orthotics comes in. And this is another challenge, because when you go and look at orthotics, you can see 50 different styles. There's machines that you can step on that tell you what type of orthotic would be best for your foot. Podiatrists often make special orthotics for people. The issues that I've ran into is every pair of shoes is different. So if you're putting an insole for a pair of shoes that was very rigid and the insole was made for a very flexible shoe, that's not going to work very well. So we need to find the insole that fits your shoe. So what I have here is a number of different insoles that I say go from mild to wild. So the first insole here just has a lot of arch support. It really does not look that much different, but if you see, it has about an inch of foam to help support the arch. When I think of this type of insole, I think of the guy with steel-toed boots, the really rigid shoe. I could even gravitate towards this shoe. This shoe has all the stability it needs, it just doesn't have much arch support, as we can see with this. This would be a wonderful option to give you some arch support in a stable shoe. Let's go to the other end of this gamut. Let's look at the most unstable shoe. This shoe flexes and moves so much that I would gravitate towards this type of insole. You can see this is solid plastic. It does not flex or move in the same way as this foam one. So if I put this insole in this flexible shoe, all of a sudden I create a stable shoe. Now that shoe will not flex past this plastic piece. It strengthens the torsional stability and you get a wonderful arch support. So there is the mild, there is the wild. Now, what about these shoes that are more in the middle? So either of these pairs both have some flex, but more stable than just the foam bottom. I gravitate towards what's called the total support. This is kind of a hybrid. This has a semi-rigid insole right here, but it flexes easily at the front. It has nice arch support, and it has a little bit of a pad for the midfoot as well. So this insole tends to work well in moderate stability shoes. And oftentimes people feel like this is one of the most comfortable ones. Now, when I go to fit somebody, I always look at what I call the Pepsi challenge. We've got to put the insoles in the shoe. We've got to walk and compare. How does this insole feel to no insoles? How does it feel to compare to a more rigid one or a less rigid one, to figure out what fits the foot to best? So, if you have any questions or if you have any foot problems that have been bothering you, which leads to knee, hip, and low back issues, call us at the Center for Manual Medicine and Regenerative Orthopedics, 271-8100, and we will figure out what is the best shoe and insole for you.